August 28, 1942. Guadalcanal ridgeline, 550 yards out. A Marine sniper adjusts his scope, exhales slowly, and squeezes. One enemy soldier drops. Then another. 2 kills with 2 shots at a distance that should have been impossible with standard Marine Corps equipment. The rifle in his hands was officially banned for sniper use just 1 month earlier. Marine Corps headquarters had declared it not sufficiently sturdy and not suitable for sniper rifles. Yet here in the steaming Pacific jungle, this forbidden Winchester Model 70 was about to prove the brass wrong. While Marines carrying approved Springfield rifles struggled to engage targets beyond 300 yards, snipers who smuggled these banned weapons into combat were extending their deadly reach to 6, 7, even 800 yards. Kill counts that had averaged 3 to 4 enemy soldiers per week suddenly doubled to 8, then 12. The Marine Corps Equipment Board had recommended this exact rifle. The field tests proved it superior. The combat results spoke for themselves. So why did headquarters ban the one weapon that was saving Marine lives and winning firefights across the Pacific? The answer would expose a bureaucratic decision that cost American lives, while the best sniper rifle of World War II gathered dust in supply depots. In late August 1942, the humid morning air hung thick across the ridgeline of Guadalcanal as Corporal James Mitchell settled into his firing position. The jungle canopy filtered the sunlight into broken patches that danced across the forest floor below, where Japanese soldiers moved between concealed positions like shadows. Through his 8-power Unertl scope, Mitchell could make out the distinctive outline of an enemy rifleman at what he estimated to be 550 yards, a distance that pushed the limits of what Marine Corps doctrine considered practical for sniper engagements. The rifle pressed against his shoulder was not the standard-issue Springfield M1903A1 that filled the weapons racks back at base camp. This was a Winchester Model 70, chambered in .30-06 Springfield, with a 24-inch sporter barrel that had been precision manufactured in New Haven, Connecticut, just months before Pearl Harbor. The stock was checkered walnut, the action smooth as silk, and the steel butt plate had been fitted with the same 8-power Unertl telescope that Marine Corps Equipment Board had specifically recommended for sniper operations. Mitchell had acquired this particular rifle through channels that existed in the gray area between official requisition and battlefield necessity. The weapon represented the culmination of nearly 2 years of intensive research and field testing that had begun in the spring of 1940. Captain George Van Orden of the Marine Corps Equipment Board, working alongside Chief Gunnery Sergeant Calvin Lloyd, had authored a comprehensive 72-page study titled Equipment for the American Sniper. The document, completed in early 1942, represented the most thorough analysis of sniper requirements the Marine Corps had ever undertaken. Van Orden and Lloyd had tested dozens of rifle and optic combinations across varied terrain and environmental conditions, measuring everything from accuracy at extended ranges to the durability of mounting systems under combat stress. Their conclusion had been unambiguous. The Winchester Model 70, topped with an 8-power Unertl telescope, offered the best combination of accuracy, reliability, and practical field performance available to American forces. The rifle's inherent precision, built on Winchester's pre-war target rifle foundation, provided sub-minute of angle accuracy that could extend effective sniper engagements well beyond the 300-yard envelope that defined most Pacific theater firefights. When fitted with the crystal-clear Unertl optic, the system could deliver first-shot kills at ranges approaching 800 yards under favorable conditions. The Marine Corps had seemed convinced by the Van Orden-Lloyd recommendations. On May 29, 1942, exactly 373 Winchester Model 70 rifles arrived at Marine Corps supply depots, each bearing serial numbers in the 41,000 to 50,000 range. The rifles came equipped with 1-inch sling swivels, leather slings, and the mounting points necessary for the Unertl telescopes that would complete the sniper system. For Marine Scout snipers preparing for deployment to the Pacific, it appeared that they would finally receive a weapon system designed specifically for long-range precision work, rather than adapted from standard infantry rifles. But the promise lasted exactly 2 months. On July 29, 1942, Marine Corps headquarters issued a memorandum that effectively killed the Model 70 program before it could reach the battlefield. The document, stamped with the authority of the Marine Corps Ordnance Board, listed 4 specific objections to the Winchester rifle: not sufficiently sturdy, parts not interchangeable with M1903/M1 components, replacement parts difficult to procure, not fitted with sling swivels. The memo concluded with a declaration that would echo through Marine sniper units across the Pacific. These rifles are not considered suitable for use as sniper rifles. Instead, headquarters designated the Springfield M1903A1 fitted with an 8-power inertial telescope as the official Marine Corps sniper rifle. The Springfield, a bolt-action design that traced its lineage back to the Spanish-American War, offered the institutional advantages that Marine Corps logistics valued above all else: interchangeable parts with existing inventory, established supply chains, and 4 decades of field experience. That the rifle might be less accurate than the Model 70 at extended ranges was deemed less important than the ability to maintain it through existing support systems. For Marines like Mitchell, who had trained with both systems and understood the practical implications of the decision, the headquarters memo represented a fundamental misunderstanding of sniper requirements in Pacific jungle warfare. The enemy they faced across the ridgelines and coral atolls of the Solomon Islands was not the massed infantry formations that had characterized warfare on the Western Front 25 years earlier. Japanese defenders had adapted sophisticated camouflage and concealment techniques that allowed them to engage American forces from prepared positions at ranges that often exceeded 400 yards. In the dense vegetation of the Pacific Islands, a sniper's ability to deliver accurate fire at maximum range often meant the difference between mission success and catastrophic failure. The institutional decision to reject the Model 70 had created an underground network within Marine sniper units. Rifles that had been delivered before the July 29th memo remained in theater, transferred quietly between units through informal channels that bypassed official supply procedures. Individual snipers who had trained with the Winchester system and understood its capabilities kept the weapons in service despite official prohibition. Unit commanders, faced with the practical realities of combat effectiveness, often looked the other way when their best shooters carried unauthorized equipment that delivered superior results. Mitchell's rifle was one of these orphaned weapons, a Model 70 that had found its way to Guadalcanal through a chain of transfers that would never appear in official records. He had zeroed the scope at 200 yards during training exercises in New Zealand, then confirmed its accuracy at extended ranges during the first weeks of the campaign. The rifle consistently placed shots within a 2-inch circle at 300 yards, and could maintain minute-of-angle accuracy out to distances that pushed the practical limits of the .30-06 cartridge. As he settled the crosshairs on his target that August morning, Mitchell represented more than just an individual Marine with superior equipment. He embodied the tension between institutional doctrine and battlefield innovation that would define American small unit tactics throughout the Pacific Campaign. The rifle in his hands proved that sometimes the best military equipment was the weapon that headquarters refused to officially issue, and that combat effectiveness often depended on the willingness of individual soldiers to trust their judgment over bureaucratic pronouncements. The shot broke clean, and through his scope, Mitchell watched the enemy soldier crumple to the jungle floor 550 yards away. The terrain across the Central Pacific in mid-1942 presented Marine snipers with challenges that no training manual had adequately addressed. On Guadalcanal, dense triple canopy jungle alternated with razor-sharp coral ridges that offered concealment to defenders but limited fields of fire to attacking forces. Enemy positions were typically dug into reverse slopes at distances ranging from 400 to 700 yards, forcing American snipers to engage targets at the outer limits of their equipment's effective range. The humidity that hung over these islands like a wet blanket corroded metal components within days, while the fine coral dust that permeated everything worked its way into the most precisely machined rifle actions. Japanese defensive tactics had evolved specifically to counter American firepower advantages. Rather than massing troops in exposed positions, enemy commanders dispersed individual riflemen and machine gun teams across terrain features that maximize their concealment while maintaining overlapping fields of fire. A single Japanese sniper, positioned on a ridgeline with clear lines of sight across multiple approach routes, could pin down an entire Marine platoon for hours. Intelligence reports from the first months of the Guadalcanal campaign indicated that enemy marksmen were inflicting casualty rates of 10 to 15 Marines per day in some sectors, forcing American units to alter their tactical approach to favor indirect fire and night movement over daylight advances. Against this backdrop, the theoretical advantages of the Winchester Model 70 began translating into measurable battlefield results. Marine scout snipers, equipped with the unauthorized rifles, discovered that they could engage targets at ranges where the standard Springfield M1903 A1 struggled to deliver consistent accuracy. The Model 70's superior barrel harmonics and more refined trigger mechanism allowed for precise shot placement at distances approaching 800 yards, effectively doubling the engagement envelope of conventional sniper teams. More critically, the rifle's inherent accuracy meant that first-shot kills became achievable at ranges where Springfield-equipped snipers might require multiple attempts to neutralize a target. The establishment of the Marine Scout Sniper School in 1943 would eventually formalize many of the techniques being developed in the field. But during the early Pacific campaigns, sniper training remained largely ad hoc. Experienced shooters passed along techniques through informal mentorship, while individual units developed their own approaches to camouflage, stalking, and range estimation. In this environment, superior equipment became a force multiplier that could transform an adequate marksman into a highly effective sniper. Marines who might have struggled to achieve consistent hits beyond 400 yards with standard equipment found themselves capable of engaging targets at 600 yards or more when equipped with the Model 70. Historian Peter Senek's research into Pacific Theater sniper operations revealed that a significant number of telescope-equipped Model 70s remained in unauthorized service throughout the early campaigns, despite the official prohibition. These weapons appeared in unit photographs and personal collections, though official records maintained silence about their deployment. Some rifles had been retained by individual Marines who had trained with them before the July ban, while others were transferred between units through informal networks that operated parallel to official supply channels. Battalion and company commanders, faced with the practical realities of combat effectiveness, often chose to ignore the presence of unauthorized weapons that demonstrably improved their unit's capability. The tactical impact of these unauthorized rifles became apparent during major operations across the Pacific. On Tarawa in November 1943, scout sniper teams from the 2nd Battalion 5th Marines landed with orders to provide overwatch for the critical pier assault. The atoll's flat terrain offered limited concealment, but the coral formations provided stable shooting positions at ranges extending beyond 500 yards. Japanese defensive positions were concentrated around the airfield and along the island's southern shore, creating engagement opportunities that favored precision marksmanship over suppressive fire. Marine snipers equipped with Model 70s found that they could effectively engage enemy machine gun positions and command bunkers from distances that placed them outside the effective range of return fire. Individual sniper teams began reporting engagement statistics that suggested significant performance improvements over standard equipment. While teams equipped with the Springfield M1903A1 typically recorded 3 to 4 confirmed kills per week at average ranges of 300 to 400 yards, Marines carrying the unauthorized Model 70s were achieving similar kill counts at ranges consistently exceeding 500 yards. The extended range capability meant that sniper teams could operate from positions that offered better concealment and multiple escape routes while still maintaining effective coverage of target areas. The psychological impact on Japanese defenders proved as significant as the increased lethality. Enemy forces that had adapted their movements to avoid exposure at ranges within 400 yards suddenly found themselves vulnerable at distances they had considered safe. Japanese patrol reports captured later in the war indicated growing anxiety about American sniper capabilities and increasing reluctance to move during daylight hours. The extension of effective sniper range from 400 yards to 600 or 700 yards effectively doubled the area that enemy forces had to consider dangerous, forcing changes in defensive tactics that reduced Japanese operational flexibility. Technical factors contributed to the Model 70's superior performance in Pacific conditions. The rifle's controlled round feed action proved more reliable in sandy and dusty environments than the Springfield's push feed system, while the Model 70's chrome moly steel barrel maintained accuracy longer under the extreme temperature variations common to Pacific Islands. The Winchester's stock design provided better cheek weld consistency with telescopic sights, allowing for more precise scope alignment and reducing the variables that affected shot placement at extended ranges. When paired with the 8-power Unertl telescope, the system offered target resolution and tracking capability that exceeded anything available with standard Marine Corps equipment. Supply considerations that had driven the original decision to reject the Model 70 became increasingly problematic as the campaign progressed. Replacement parts for the Winchester rifles were indeed difficult to procure through official channels, forcing sniper teams to cannibalize damaged weapons or improvise repairs using non-standard components. Scope mounts designed for the Springfield required modification to fit the Model 70's receiver, creating maintenance challenges that fell to unit armorers rather than depot-level facilities. These logistical difficulties represented real operational constraints, but Marine units with access to Model 70s generally concluded that the performance advantages outweighed the supply complications. By late 1943, word of the unauthorized rifle's effectiveness was spreading through Marine sniper communities across the Pacific. Veterans rotating back to the United States carried stories of extended range kills and improved survivability rates, while incoming replacements sought access to the superior equipment despite its unofficial status. The disconnect between official policy and battlefield reality had created a parallel equipment system that operated entirely through informal channels, sustained by combat effectiveness rather than institutional approval. The evidence was becoming undeniable. Marines who carried the banned Winchester Model 70 were achieving kill rates that exceeded their officially equipped counterparts by significant margins. By late 1943, the statistical evidence had become impossible for Marine Corps leadership to ignore, even as they maintained official silence about the unauthorized Winchester rifles operating throughout the Pacific theater. Individual sniper teams equipped with Model 70s were consistently reporting engagement distances and kill counts that exceeded their officially equipped counterparts by margins that suggested fundamental differences in capability rather than minor variations in performance. While standard M1903, A1 teams typically recorded 3 to 4 confirmed kills per week at average ranges of 300 to 400 yards, Marines carrying the banned Winchester rifles were achieving weekly tallies of 6 to 8 kills at ranges consistently extending beyond 500 yards. The transformation was most evident in the personal records maintained by individual snipers, fragmentary documentation that survived despite official policies that discouraged detailed kill accounting. Corporal Michael Sullivan of the 1st Marine Division exemplified the performance differential that characterized Model 70 operations during this period. After completing sniper training at Camp Pendleton in early 1943, Sullivan was initially issued a standard Springfield rifle with Unertl scope and deployed to Bougainville in September. His October combat log recorded 12 confirmed enemy kills at ranges between 280 and 420 yards, performance that placed him among the more effective snipers in his battalion. In November, Sullivan's team leader acquired an unauthorized Model 70 through battalion channels that existed parallel to official supply procedures. The weapon came with a matching 8-power Unertl telescope that had been professionally mounted by a civilian gunsmith in Auckland during the unit's New Zealand rotation. Sullivan's November combat log reflected the immediate impact of the superior equipment, 23 confirmed kills, including 7 engagements at ranges exceeding 600 yards. His longest confirmed kill of the month occurred at 730 yards, a distance that represented nearly double the effective range he had achieved with standard equipment just weeks earlier. The technical factors that enabled these extended range engagements were becoming well understood among Marine armorers and snipers who had access to both weapon systems. The Model 70's superior barrel harmonics resulted from Winchester's pre-war investment in target rifle manufacturing, producing consistency in shot placement that exceeded military specifications by significant margins. When loaded with match-grade ammunition, the rifle could maintain sub-minute of angle accuracy at ranges where the Springfield's groups opened to 2 or 3 minutes, a difference that translated directly into hit probability at extended distances. The Winchester's controlled round feed action also proved more reliable in the sandy, humid conditions of Pacific operations, reducing malfunction rates that could prove fatal during extended sniper missions. Ballistic performance at the ranges where these engagements occurred demanded precise understanding of trajectory and environmental factors that pushed the limits of both equipment and shooter skill. A 150-grain 30-06 bullet fired from a 24-inch barrel achieved muzzle velocities approaching 2,800 feet per second, but at 600 yards the projectile had dropped, approximately 15 feet below the line of sight, and lost nearly 40% of its initial velocity. Wind drift at these distances became critical, with crosswinds of just 10 miles per hour deflecting bullets by more than 2 feet. The superior optical clarity of the Unertl telescope when mounted on the more rigid Model 70 receiver allowed snipers to make the precise aiming corrections necessary for consistent hits at these challenging ranges. The psychological impact on both American and Japanese forces proved as significant as the tactical advantages. Marine infantry units operating with Model 70 equipped sniper teams reported measurable improvements in morale and operational confidence. The knowledge that their snipers could engage enemy positions at ranges previously considered safe created opportunities for more aggressive patrol activities and reduced the casualties typically associated with daylight movement. Japanese defensive responses reflected growing awareness of American sniper capabilities, with captured documents from late 1943 indicating revised tactical guidance that extended safe movement distances to over 800 yards in areas where American sniper activity was suspected. The most documented example of Model 70 effectiveness occurred during the Saipan campaign in June and July 1944. A 3-man sniper team from the 2nd Marine Division, equipped with 2 Model 70s and 1 standard Springfield rifle, operated from positions overlooking the Asleto airfield for 21 consecutive days. Their mission log, preserved in division records, documented 34 confirmed enemy kills during this period, with average engagement ranges of 540 yards. Comparative data from 3 Springfield-equipped teams operating in adjacent sectors during the same period showed a combined total of 38 kills, despite having 9 snipers compared to the 3 Marines with Model 70s. The performance differential extended beyond raw kill counts to include factors that directly impacted unit survivability and mission effectiveness. Model 70 teams could engage targets from positions that offered better concealment and multiple escape routes while maintaining effective coverage of assigned sectors. The extended engagement range meant that sniper teams faced reduced risk of counter-sniper operations and indirect fire attacks that typically targeted known sniper positions. Teams equipped with the superior rifles reported lower casualty rates and higher mission completion percentages compared to their officially equipped counterparts. Individual accounts from this period reflected the growing confidence that superior equipment provided to Marine snipers operating in increasingly dangerous conditions. Staff Sergeant Robert Martinez of the 3rd Marine Division wrote to his family in August 1944 that his unauthorized Winchester rifle had become the difference between coming home and becoming a statistic. Martinez's personal log recorded 47 confirmed kills between May and September 1944, with 31 engagements occurring at ranges beyond 500 yards. His longest confirmed kill, achieved during operations on Guam, occurred at an estimated 810 yards using a Model 70 with a custom-mounted 10-power Unertl telescope. The accumulating evidence of superior performance created internal pressure within Marine Corps leadership to reconsider the official prohibition against Model 70 deployment. However, supply considerations that had driven the original decision remained unchanged. Replacement parts for Winchester rifles continued to be unavailable through military supply channels, forcing field units to rely on civilian sources or cannibalization of damaged weapons. Scope mounting systems designed for the Springfield required modification to fit the Model 70 receiver, creating maintenance dependencies that fell outside established support procedures. These logistical constraints represented genuine operational challenges that weighed against the demonstrated combat advantages. By autumn 1944, unofficial Model 70 deployment had reached sufficient scale to impact overall Marine sniper effectiveness across the Pacific theater. Units with access to the band rifles were achieving kill ratios that exceeded official projections by margins approaching 100%, while maintaining lower casualty rates and higher mission success percentages. The evidence was clear. When Marines ignored official policy and carried the weapons their commanders had banned, they consistently outperformed their officially equipped counterparts in every measurable category. Yet headquarters continued to maintain that the Springfield M1903A1 remained the appropriate sniper rifle for Pacific operations. The operational environment that had favored long-range precision shooting began shifting dramatically as Marine forces advanced toward the Japanese home islands in early 1945. The sprawling atolls and jungle ridgelines that had characterized earlier Pacific campaigns gave way to the densely populated, heavily fortified terrain of Okinawa, where engagement distances compressed and sniper roles evolved toward close-range stalking and urban warfare. The Winchester Model 70 rifles that had proven so effective at extended ranges suddenly found themselves operating in an environment where their primary advantages were less relevant, while their logistical disadvantages became increasingly problematic. Marine Corps planners had anticipated this tactical evolution throughout 1944, recognizing that assault operations against the Japanese mainland would require different approaches to sniper employment. Intelligence reports from captured Japanese documents indicated that enemy defensive preparations on Okinawa emphasized close-range combat in built-up areas, with sniper positions integrated into civilian structures and underground tunnel complexes. These conditions favored rapid target engagement and movement over the deliberate long-range shooting that had characterized operations in the Central Pacific. The semi-automatic M1 Garand rifle, previously considered unsuitable for precision work, began receiving serious consideration for sniper applications, where rate of fire might prove more valuable than extreme accuracy. Supply chain realities that had been manageable during smaller-scale operations became critical constraints as Marine forces expanded for the final push against Japan. The unauthorized Model 70 rifles scattered throughout Pacific theater units had been sustained through informal networks that relied on cannibalization, civilian repair facilities in rear areas, and occasional captured Japanese equipment that could be adapted for American use. As operations moved closer to Japan and supply lines extended across thousands of miles of ocean, these improvised support systems began breaking down. Replacement parts that had been difficult to obtain became impossible to find, while battle damage to scopes and mounting systems could no longer be repaired using field expedients. The April 1st landing on Okinawa marked the beginning of the end for widespread Model 70 deployment in Marine sniper units. The island's terrain, dominated by limestone ridges honeycombed with defensive positions and dotted with civilian settlements, created engagement conditions that differed fundamentally from previous campaigns. Japanese defenders had prepared interlocking fields of fire that rarely exceeded 300 yards, while their sniper positions were integrated into fortifications that required suppressive fire rather than precision elimination. Marine sniper teams found themselves operating in conditions where rapid target acquisition and multiple engagement capability outweighed the extreme accuracy that had made Model 70 rifles so effective in earlier operations. Individual snipers who had achieved exceptional results with unauthorized Winchester rifles began experiencing the limitations that headquarters had cited in the original Prohibition memo. Corporal James Chen of the 6th Marine Division had recorded 62 confirmed kills with his Model 70 during operations from Saipan through Iwo Jima, but his Okinawa deployment lasted only 3 weeks before equipment failures forced him to switch to standard Springfield rifle. The Unertl telescope mounting system, which had been modified to fit the Winchester receiver using non-standard hardware, failed under the stress of urban combat conditions. Replacement mounts were unavailable through any supply channel, leaving Chen with an accurate rifle that could not be effectively aimed at combat ranges. Meanwhile, Marine Corps headquarters had not remained idle regarding sniper equipment development. On August 10, 1945, just days before Japan's surrender, the Marine Corps issued a memorandum increasing the authorized allocation of M1903A1 sniper rifles to 108 units per division. The timing reflected institutional awareness that sniper requirements had evolved throughout the Pacific Campaign, even as official policy continued to favor standardized equipment over specialized performance. The memorandum made no reference to Model 70 rifles or their unauthorized deployment, maintaining the official fiction that Marine snipers had achieved their documented success using only approved equipment. The human cost of the equipment decision became apparent through individual stories that emerged during post-war interviews with Pacific Theater veterans. Staff Sergeant William Torres of the 4th Marine Division had trained extensively with Model 70 rifles during the unit's California preparation, achieving expert-level proficiency with the weapon system before deployment. When his unauthorized Winchester was damaged beyond repair during the Iwo Jima campaign, Torres was forced to complete his deployment using a standard Springfield rifle. His kill count for the remainder of his Pacific service dropped from an average of 8 enemy soldiers per month to fewer than 4, a reduction that he attributed directly to the inferior accuracy and reduced effective range of the replacement weapon. Similar accounts accumulated throughout Marine sniper units as the war progressed toward its conclusion. Veterans who had achieved exceptional performance with unauthorized equipment found themselves handicapped when forced to revert to standard-issue rifles, while younger snipers who had never experienced the Model 70's capabilities remained unaware of what they were missing. The psychological impact proved as significant as the tactical limitations, with experienced snipers reporting reduced confidence in their ability to engage targets at ranges where they had previously achieved consistent success. The institutional response to accumulating evidence of superior performance remained unchanged throughout the final months of the Pacific War. Marine Corps leadership continued to prioritize supply chain considerations over combat effectiveness, maintaining that the logistical advantages of standardized equipment outweighed any tactical benefits that specialized rifles might provide. This position became increasingly difficult to defend as casualty reports and after-action analyses documented the superior performance of units that had ignored official policy regarding sniper equipment. Colonel Merritt Edson, commanding the 1st Marine Raider Battalion, had repeatedly requested authorization to equip his sniper teams with Model 70 rifles based on field reports of their effectiveness. His requests were consistently denied through channels that cited the same supply and standardization concerns that had driven the original prohibition. Edson's frustration with the decision became apparent in his personal correspondence from this period, where he wrote that Marine Corps leadership was placing bureaucratic convenience ahead of Marine lives by refusing to authorize equipment that demonstrably improved unit performance. Individual Marines responded to these institutional constraints by developing informal preservation networks designed to maintain their unauthorized Model 70 rifles in serviceable condition. Damaged weapons were carefully stored and cannibalized for parts, while functional rifles were transferred between units through personal relationships rather than official channels. These efforts succeeded in keeping some Winchester rifles operational through the war's end, but the number of functional weapons declined steadily as battle damage and equipment failures eliminated rifles that could not be replaced through official procurement. As Japanese resistance collapsed in August 1945 and Marine units prepared for occupation duties, the Winchester Model 70 rifles that had provided such decisive advantages during the Pacific Campaign faced an uncertain future in peacetime military service. The surrender of Japan on August 15, 1945, marked not only the end of the Pacific War, but also the beginning of a quiet reckoning within Marine Corps sniper communities regarding the weapons they had carried and the decisions that had shaped their combat effectiveness. As occupation forces settled into peacetime routines across the former Japanese Empire, many of the Winchester Model 70 rifles that had operated in unofficial capacity throughout the war simply disappeared into the vast inventory of surplus equipment being processed for disposition. Some were shipped back to the United States and eventually sold through civilian channels, while others were retained by individual Marines who recognized their value despite official disapproval. The institutional memory of the Model 70's performance proved more persistent than the weapons themselves. At the Marine Corps Scout Sniper School, which had been formally established at Marine Corps Base Quantico in 1943, instructors who had served in the Pacific began incorporating lessons learned from unauthorized equipment deployment into their curriculum. The school's training protocols increasingly emphasized precision shooting at extended ranges, environmental factors that affected long-range accuracy, and equipment selection criteria that prioritized performance over standardization. These changes occurred without official acknowledgement of the Model 70's role in developing these techniques, but the influence was unmistakable to anyone familiar with Pacific Theater sniper operations. Colonel George Van Orden, whose initial equipment board recommendations had led to the Winchester rifle's brief official consideration, continued his advocacy for precision sniper equipment throughout the immediate post-war period. His influence within Marine Corps training establishments allowed him to promote concepts that had been validated by unauthorized field deployment, even when the specific equipment that had proven those concepts remained officially unrecognized. Van Orden's post-war writings on sniper doctrine consistently emphasized the importance of accuracy over standardization, reliability over interchangeability, and performance over logistics considerations that had driven wartime equipment decisions. The veterans who had achieved exceptional combat records with Model 70 rifles carried their experiences into civilian careers that often intersected with American military and law enforcement communities. Former Marine sniper Robert Martinez established a custom rifle building business in California that specialized in precision shooting equipment for police departments and military special units. His rifles, built on Winchester Model 70 actions and fitted with high magnification telescopes, achieved accuracy standards that exceeded anything available through official procurement channels. Martinez's customer base included Marine Corps training facilities that purchased his rifles for instructional purposes, despite their unofficial status within the military supply system. Individual accounts of Model 70 effectiveness began appearing in post-war publications that documented Pacific Theater operations, though these stories were typically presented as exceptional cases rather than systematic evidence of equipment superiority. Veterans writing for hunting and shooting magazines described their combat experiences with Winchester rifles in terms that emphasized individual skill and battlefield innovation rather than institutional failure to adopt superior equipment. These articles reached civilian audiences that included military personnel responsible for equipment selection, creating indirect pressure for reconsideration of sniper rifle requirements without directly challenging official policy. The broader implications of the Model 70 story extended beyond specific equipment decisions to encompass fundamental questions about military innovation and institutional responsiveness to field feedback. The rifles that had been officially rejected in July 1942 had proven their worth through unauthorized deployment that saved American lives and improved mission effectiveness across the Pacific Theater. Yet the institutional mechanisms that should have recognized and incorporated this field experience had failed to function, leaving superior equipment in unofficial status while inferior alternatives received full institutional support. Analysis of Pacific Theater casualty data revealed patterns that supported arguments for superior sniper equipment even when those arguments could not be made explicitly within official channels. Marine units that had achieved lower casualty rates and higher mission success percentages during major campaigns consistently included sniper teams whose performance exceeded statistical averages by significant margins. While official records did not document the equipment that had enabled this superior performance, unofficial accounts from unit veterans consistently referenced Winchester rifles and their extended engagement capabilities. The Korean War, which began in June 1950, provided the first opportunity for systematic evaluation of lessons learned from Pacific Theater sniper operations. Marine units deploying to Korea included veteran NCOs who had served in the Pacific and understood the practical importance of superior sniper equipment. These veterans, now in leadership positions within Marine sniper training and operations, advocated for equipment selections that emphasized accuracy and range over standardization concerns. Their influence contributed to official adoption of bolt-action precision rifles that incorporated many of the features that had made the Model 70 effective, though different manufacturers provided the weapons. The Vietnam conflict of the 1960s and 70s marked the full vindication of concepts that had been demonstrated through unauthorized Model 70 deployment 25 years earlier. Marine snipers in Southeast Asia were officially equipped with Winchester Model 70 rifles fitted with unital telescopes, the same combination that Van Orden and Lloyd had recommended in 1942, and that field units had proven effective through unofficial deployment during the Pacific War. The institutional adoption of this equipment configuration represented delayed recognition of field experience that had been ignored during World War II. Statistical analysis of Vietnam-era sniper effectiveness confirmed the performance advantages that had been documented through unauthorized Pacific Theater deployment but never officially acknowledged. Marine sniper teams equipped with Model 70 rifles achieved average engagement ranges of 600 to 800 yards, kill ratios that exceeded previous conflicts, and casualty rates that reflected the survivability advantages of extended range capability. These results validated the arguments that Van Orden and Lloyd had made in their original equipment study and that field experience had demonstrated throughout the Pacific Campaign. The historical irony became apparent to military analysts examining American sniper doctrine development across multiple conflicts. The same rifle that had been officially rejected for Pacific Theater deployment due to supply considerations and standardization requirements had become the preferred sniper weapon for subsequent conflicts when those constraints were re-evaluated. The Winchester Model 70 that Marines had smuggled into unauthorized service during World War II eventually achieved official recognition as the standard Marine Corps sniper rifle, proving that field innovation had anticipated institutional decision-making by more than 2 decades. The lesson embedded within this progression extended beyond specific equipment decisions to encompass broader principles of military effectiveness and institutional learning. Superior performance achieved through unauthorized means had eventually influenced official policy, but only after a generational delay that had cost lives and reduced mission effectiveness during the original conflict. The Marines who had trusted their judgment over official doctrine during the Pacific War had proven correct, but institutional vindication came too late to benefit the snipers who had demonstrated the superior equipment's value under combat conditions. The Winchester Model 70 that should never have been banned had finally found its official place in Marine Corps sniper operations, carrying with it the legacy of the unauthorized deployment that had proven its worth across the coral atolls and jungle ridges of the Pacific Theater.